I missed my son's wedding, and he never forgave me. The first time I saw the wedding photos, I couldn't breathe. There he was, my son in a dark navy suit, standing at the altar with tears in his eyes, his bride glowing beside him, surrounded by friends, family, people clapping and crying and witnessing the moment he stepped fully into manhood. Everyone was there, his mother, his sister, old neighbors, childhood friends, even my brother, who lives 3 states away, everyone. But me. My chair was empty. In every photo, every angle, the photographer did a good job pretending I didn't exist at all. No name on the program, no place at the reception, not a single glance toward the space where I should have been standing, where I promised I'd be. I missed my son's wedding, and he never forgave me. And you know what? Maybe he shouldn't have, because it wasn't just about one day. It was about every day leading up to it. Every call I didn't return fast enough. Every holiday I left early. Every time I said, next time, and meant it. The wedding wasn't the beginning of the distance between us. It was the moment the silence became permanent. People ask me why I missed it. They expect a big dramatic reason: illness, accident, emergency. And I wish I could say it was something that made sense, something that sounded noble. But the truth is messy, personal, shameful, even. It was a combination of bad timing, broken pride, and a heart that hadn't figured out how to repair what had helped damage. There are things I could explain, sure, but they wouldn't undo the absence. They wouldn't fill that chair dot, so I don't tell this story to make excuses. I'm not here to be defended or pitied. I'm here because there are others out there like me, fathers, mothers, siblings, friends who missed the moment, who let time, ego, or circumstance pull them away from something that can't be repeated. And maybe you're living with that ache right now. Maybe you're scrolling through photos where your smile should have been. Maybe you're rehearsing apologies you've never said out loud. I get it. I'm living it. But this isn't a story about giving up. It's a story about what comes after. After the silence, after the shame, after the door doesn't open. Because even when forgiveness doesn't come, love doesn't have to leave. Let me tell you what it's like to carry both. It wasn't one big event. That's what surprised me. It wasn't like a car crash or a heart attack, something so sudden you could point to it and say, that's when it all went wrong. No, it was more like a slow leak, a crack. That started small, but ran deep. The wedding was scheduled for the 3rd Saturday in June. I had it marked in red on every calendar, paper, phone, even a sticky note on the fridge. I knew the date. I knew the time. I knew where I was supposed to be and what I was supposed to wear. My son had even asked me to give a speech. Not because we were close, we weren't, not anymore, but because, I think, part of him still wanted me to try. I told him I would, but in the weeks leading up to the wedding, things in my life unraveled. Work pressures mounted, and I didn't say no like I should have. My anxiety flared, the kind that tightens your chest in the middle of the night and makes breathing feel like a decision. I got into a bitter argument with his mother, my ex-wife, about something stupid, something that should have never come between us, but always did. Pride bubbled up. Old wounds reopened. And instead of resolving anything, I retreated. I didn't call my son. Didn't tell him I was struggling. Didn't say I was scared I'd mess it up, that I'd show up and somehow ruin what was supposed to be his perfect day. I waited too long. Then the night before the wedding came, I looked at my suit hanging on the hook. I looked at my keys. And I sat down on the edge of the bed and froze. I didn't go. I told myself I'd explain later, that I'd make it right, that he'd understand eventually. But by the time I worked up the courage to text him, it was already over. I missed the moment, the biggest one, and some things, once missed, can't be re-entered. There's a unique kind of silence that follows disappointment. It's not loud. It's not filled with yelling or accusations. It's just gone. A door quietly shut. A phone that never rings. That's what I walked into after the wedding. I sent him a message the next day. A long one. Honest, rambling, apologetic. I explained, or tried to. I said the truth was complicated, that I was ashamed, that I didn't mean to hurt him, that I loved him. I even wrote, I know this probably isn't enough, but I needed to say it. He never replied. Days passed, then weeks, then months. I sent birthday wishes. No response. I tried calling. Straight to voicemail. I messaged his sister. She said he wasn't ready. I sent a letter, the old-fashioned kind. I never knew if he read it. It wasn't returned. But it wasn't acknowledged either. The worst part wasn't the anger. It was the nothing. The blank space where we used to have something. Even when it was strained, there had been a line, a connection. Now, it felt like I had been erased. I didn't go to his first Christmas as a married man. Wasn't invited. I watched from afar as pictures of his life unfolded online. Birthdays, vacations, little milestones. Each one like a snapshot of a world I used to be part of, but no longer belonged to. And I felt it in my body. The ache, the tension in my chest when his name came up in conversation. The lump in my throat when someone asked, "How's your son doing?" And I didn't know how to answer. I didn't blame him. That was the hardest truth to sit with. I wasn't angry that he didn't forgive me. I was angry at myself for giving him something to forgive. I missed the wedding. But more than that, I missed the trust, the chance, the moment he offered for us to start again. And now I couldn't even apologize in person. I was just a shadow, pacing behind a locked door. Eventually, you stop checking your phone as much. You stop holding your breath every time a message pops up, thinking maybe this time it's him. You stop drafting responses to conversations that haven't happened. You stop pretending you're one call away from fixing everything, but you never stop feeling the weight. You just learn to carry it differently. I stopped trying to force a conversation. Not because I gave up, but because I realized some wounds need time and some people need space. I wasn't owed his forgiveness, no matter how badly I wanted it. And maybe the worst thing I could do was push too hard and reopen what was already raw. So I did what I could. I went to therapy. Talked through the mess of shame, pride, fear, and memory that had built up in me like hardened clay. I stopped seeing myself as the father who messed up and started asking, what kind of man do I want to be now, even if no one's watching? I wrote letters I never sent. I prayed, not just to be forgiven, but to be someone worth forgiving. I volunteered. I mentored a younger man going through something similar. I showed up for my daughter in ways I hadn't before. I told the truth when it was hard. I stopped running from silence and started sitting in it. I found new ways to carry the love I still had for my son. Not as a burden, but as a quiet devotion. I heard through others that he had a baby, a boy, my grandson. I wasn't told directly, no invitation, no announcement. But I cried anyway, not out of bitterness, but out of hope. Because life had continued. And even if I wasn't in the room, part of me was still there. Through him, sometimes I saw them in town. At the grocery store. Across the street at the farmer's market. I never approached. I didn't want to make it harder. I just watched from a respectful distance and whispered to myself, keep becoming the man you'd want him to meet again. One day. It's hard to live without a timeline. Without knowing when or if reconciliation will come. But I've learned that love doesn't need a guarantee to be real. Sometimes it just needs to be steady. There's a kind of fatherhood no one prepares you for, the kind where you love from the outside, where you stand at a distance, hands folded, heart open, not expecting applause or recognition, just choosing, quietly, to keep showing up. That's where I found myself. I couldn't be there for the vows. I wasn't there when he brought his son home from the hospital. I missed his first steps, his first birthday, his first everything. But I didn't let that absence turn me bitter. I let it make me gentler. There were moments when it would have been easy to disappear, to shrug and say, he doesn't want me in his life? Fine. But that would have been about me again, my comfort, my pride, my story. And I've already told enough of those. Instead, I chose a different path, one of silent presence. I started donating to his favorite charity. Every Christmas, I'd write the card in his name, never signed, never announced, just because I knew he'd want it done. I attended the local games his community league hosted, quietly watching from the edge of the crowd. I never made myself seen, just cheered. When he scored, took pictures I never posted, witnessed his joy, even if he never knew I was there. I supported his wife's small business online, bought products, left reviews, referred friends. No credit needed. I told our mutual friends to never take sides, to love him fully, even if it meant loving me less. Some days, it felt like tending a garden behind a locked fence, watering what I couldn't touch, hoping it would grow anyway. But the thing about love is, it doesn't always need permission to exist. It just needs commitment. I used to think showing up meant being visible, loud, center stage. But now I know, sometimes showing up means being quiet, being consistent, being safe, even if you're not being welcomed back yet. If the door ever opens, I'll be there. If it doesn't, I'll still be here. Because fatherhood isn't a performance, it's a promise. There are absences that echo, that linger like a song you never got to finish. Missing my son's wedding didn't just change a day, it changed me. It forced me to face parts of myself I had long ignored. It showed me what happens when we let fear and pride speak louder than love. I can't go back. I can't rewrite that weekend. I can't insert myself into photos where I don't appear. But what I can do, what I have done, is choose to love in the silence, to honor him in the unseen, to become the kind of man he deserved to see waiting, if he ever turned around, and maybe he never will. Maybe this is the version of our story that stays unresolved, a love letter never opened, a seat left empty, a speech never delivered. But even if the ending doesn't change, I have. I'm no longer waiting to be forgiven to start acting like a father. I just do it, quietly, steadily, with hope tucked into every ordinary day. So if you're carrying something like this, a missed moment, a lost connection, a silence that won't speak back, let me tell you something I had to learn the hard way. You are not defined by the moment you failed. You are defined by how you choose to show up after. It's not too late to be the kind of person you wished you'd been. Not because it will undo the past, but because it might just redeem the present. My son may never forgive me, but I love him, still, always. And if the door ever opens again, even just a little, I'll be there, standing on the other side. Not to explain, not to beg, but simply to say, I never stopped showing up. And I never will.